Hi everyone, welcome back to the workshop. We've got this old Singer in today, model 348. Nice machine, late 60s, it was probably built in, so that's quite nice. I've checked the fuse, it did have a 13 amp in, now it's got a 3 amp, so I've sorted that out. It's in for a service. Let's see how it runs. Seems to be running nicely. Feed dog are working. Zigzag's working. Needle looks a little bit bent. Got the cams in here for the different patterns. Tension's operating nicely. Okay, so just a cleaner and oil, I think, this one. First thing to do is take the top off. A couple of screws. Take the side off. Press a foot. Take the bobbin out, bobbin case, needle plate. Yeah, a little bit fluffy, not too bad for its age. I don't know when it was last serviced. Oh. That's not nice. Many years of fluff all in the machine, big lumps of it. That probably means the machine's very dry. So what we'll do first is we'll blow that off. Blow. Have to mind your eyes with all that or not. Oh dear, that's a lot of fluff. Quite a bit on the top of the machine as well. Compressor kicks in. Can't really help that, I'm afraid. I'm just going to strip this tension unit down. A little bit loose. Lose all the bits. Get rid of some of this tension. Tension release. Yeah, a lot of fluff in the tensions. Give that a good old clean. Needle's in the wrong way round. That's probably why it's come to me. Be missing stitches with the needle in back to front. The flat side of the needle goes at the back on these machines. Just checking the timing. Perfect. Timing's good. It's very rare these are out of time. They've got a big belt underneath, timing belt with teeth on, so it can't. It's unusual for it to slip. Show you what I'm pulling out of here. Nice bit of lint from over the ears. Man, there's some fluff in this one. Haven't seen this much fluff in the machine for a long time. Some more I've pulled out. Need a little bit more of a blow with a compressor, didn't it? Pick the fluff out of this one. And loosen it all off. That's when you think you've got it all out, you see, find some more. This is going to run so nicely now when I finish this. Belt's nice and tight, that's why the timing won't go out on these. More fluff. Wow, that's got some serious years of sewing. It's nearly not far off being the same age as me, this machine. It's pretty old. Okay, let's get some oil into it. I'll start underneath. Start running it slowly to work some oil into the joints. You can actually see how dry it is, bone dry. It's amazing how the machines carry on for so long when they're dry. But there's a needle there. These are so well made. These are made in Scotland, these, back in the 60s. The singers are good, not made in Taiwan. They're all Taiwanese now, singers. Just work it in, not too much, just in the right places. There's not too many oiling points underneath on these. Pop a bit at the top. Work some into the top as well. Make sure it gets in all the bearings. Should quieten it down a little bit once I've oiled this. There is a gear in here, vertical gear, bevel gear. I'm just going to make sure there's some oil on that and the shaft. Check for any play on the main shaft in a few positions. Nope, that's all good. Drop of oil on the needle bar and the presser foot. Just unscrew this so we can get at the top of the shaft. It's got a little indicator on these, just on here, a little red thing that shows through a little window on the side panel. Gives the numbers of pressure holding the fabric down. A bit crude, but it does the job. important, or one of the most important parts, is the pin that moves the needle side to side. It's like a floating bearing, where it pushes left to right and it just guides the needle. You get some in. If you don't put some in there, some oil, it can stick. It means it won't zigzag. So I can actually feel with my fingers how loose it is. It's nice and loose. I've got some oil in it. The spring brings it over to the left, and the cam takes it over to the right. You can see this top here, as it hits one of these outer segments, pulls the needle over to the right and goes back into the middle, and the spring takes it back. It's the spring that's just the noise of that coming back in that you can hear, the tapping noise. So once a straight stitch, that noise stops. Just make sure I get all the joints. As I said on my videos before, not too much oil this end, because you don't want it on your fabric when you sew. You only put a lot of oil this end if the thing's really seized up and you've got to unseize it. And then you've got to, once you've got it unseized, you need to clean all the oil off, all the surface oil, so it doesn't drip. Okay, that's the oil in there. Now what I'm going to do now is take off the hand wheel on the side. Just a little screw here. Don't need to take the screw out, just loosen it off. That's nice and free on the shaft. Need to oil the shaft so it spins without moving the shaft, which it does. Just check the motor belt over while it's off. Motor belt's got no cracks in it. Amazing how long they last. I bet it's the original belt. I'm just going to take the side panel off to just check the tension on the belt. For that we have to unplug the machine. Undo these two screws. Right. Two. Belt's a little bit loose, might tighten that up a little bit. Just check the belt, but we can take the belt off, I think. Let's just pop the belt off. Check it over. Yeah, I mean there's signs of wear on it, but got a few years left in that baby. It's the original Singer belt, I think. Well, that's off, put a drop more oil on there. It's pretty grubby. Pop the motor belt back onto the main wheel. Work that onto the pulley. It's a bit fiddly, but we can do it that way. No. I'll just loosen the motor off to get that back on. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just loosen off the motor. We'll use that screwdriver there. Actually have to get a screwdriver through this little, push that bung out. Loosen off the motor screw. It's kind of like a little cam. And what you do is you loosen off the centre screw, can't really show you it easily. And then that lifts the motor up. You need a thinner screwdriver just to move that around. Okay, so that's slid the motor upwards. That allows me to get the belt on. That's it. So that's miles too loose now. So what we do now is we get that in there, tighten it up again, move the cam round to tighten the belt. We don't want it too tight because it puts strain on the motor, and this is a 65-year-old motor probably, well, maybe quite not that much, but it's certainly 60 years. And I don't want to put any strain on it because it's going strong. Put this little bung back in. That's it. Plug it back in, just test it's running okay. Yeah, that's good. Put this little washer back on, which operates the hand wheel release. I don't know if I put it around the right way. No, there's two ways this can go. That's the way it goes. Tighten that up. So now loosen it off for the bobbin. Tighten it up to so. Goes really nice. Looks like a train. Amazing what a bit of lubrication will do. Let's unplug it a second. Always fun to do this top screw because it has to bite further in. That's it. Nice and tight. Give it a bit of a clean. Well, I've got it unplugged. Plug it back in. Let's give this wheel a bit of a clean while it's off. Clean it inside. Bit lumpy. I'm just going to loosen off the motor belt a little bit. It's making quite a bit of noise it didn't make before. Just going to loosen it off a fraction. Do the centre screw, loosen it a fraction. That sounds a bit better. Fraction more, I think. Just trying to get rid of that grinding, rumbling noise because that's straining the belt. You don't want that because it's going to put a strain on the motor. That should be about it now. That's better. Nice and quiet again. Don't want it too loose that the belt slips, because it will slip when you're sewing. I can hold it back. Perfect. Right, so now we'll put the side panel back on. Make sure that that little red indicator finger I showed you earlier goes into the window, which it did. Screw it down so it's on about halfway, 3 to 4. It's got some nice pressure on that. That's all working nice and free. That's working. Bobbin winder's turning. What we'll do now is put the lid back on. Just noticed it's got no spool pins on this, so I have to find some spool pins. Got some metal ones somewhere. Screw that down. Screw that down. Fits nicely. Light bulb works. Right, let's sort all this tension out now. Big pile of bits. Okay, these are the tension discs. We've got 3 of those. The reason for having 3, you can use a twin needle on this machine if you want to. And by having 3 discs, it gives you 2 gaps, so you can run 2 threads. Probably never had a twin needle in it. So that goes in there, and we got the check spring. That's called the check spring. Goes either side. So you've got this little circle at the front. Let me just clear a bit of fluff off of that. Right, hold it back together again. So you've got your 3 tension discs and the metal part at the front. The spring goes round it, and you push it onto this stud. Take the spring, I'll show you what I'm doing. Take the spring round so it's sort of hanging at the bottom, locate it, and then bring the spring up. And the idea is that that spring has got tension on it now and pulls down, pulls the thread into check, hence the name check spring. So it just keeps it tight. So it goes sloppy and loose, it miss stitches and affect the tension. So this bit here goes on next. Check that this is releasing, so when I pull up the presser foot, it pushes this plus minus dial forward to release the tension, and that's working perfectly. And then we've got the spring, beehive spring, shaped like a beehive. We've got this here, which is your stop, tension stop mechanism. So that little notch there at the top will contact with this plastic notch on there, so it won't go past 0. Pop that on there. Take this off. I won't actually set the numbers until I sew. I'll do it by feel. So that's releasing, that's engaging. So when I get it sewing, get the sewing perfectly, then I'll put the numbers on. So that's the tension installed. Next thing to do is make sure the bobbin case has got no fluff, but as you can see, it's got loads of it there. Clean it off, look. It doesn't look a lot, but that is a lot of fluff for a tension unit. Still got loads in there. If that gets in the tension spring, which is this part here, it affects the tension. In fact, you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but there is some thread coming out from underneath this spring. And we clean that up, get any fluff out from under the spring. Don't need to undo the screws to do that. Again, clean it up, Give it a little blow. Make sure it's nice. So we've got a bobbin. It's got a little bit of cotton on there. See if we can find the end. Nope. Okay, what we're doing, let's just wind the bobbin. Still got to find a small pin, which I'll do in a second. For now, I'm just going to hold it to thread the bobbin. What I want to do, I just want to check the bobbin tension before I put the bobbin case in the machine. So wind that round, push that across, release the machine. I can just use anything for now just to hold it like that. That's winding lovely. That's enough. Let's cut that now. What I can do now is just pop this into the bobbin case, slide it underneath for the tension, and that is really tight. So I think what you find is the customer has tightened it up because it was loose, because it had fluff in it, and now I've got rid of the fluff, it's snapped even harder and giving it more tension. So I'm just releasing the tension a little bit, quite a bit actually. That feels nice, so I reckon that's good tension on that now. Won't know till we sew. Put a drop of oil in this groove, not too much, just enough to lubricate it. Check the gap there, the gap's a little bit too small in this machine. There's a gap between the bobbin case and the bobbin case stop spring, which is there. So to adjust that on this machine, loosen off this big screw at the front, push it across to form a gap. Not too much. If you have too big a gap, it gets really noisy. You don't have enough, it won't let the thread through, so it'll jam. So that's got there. We'll find out when we sew. You never know until you try it, but that feels good. Okay, just pop all this back together again. Check for fluff underneath the plate. Check there's no damage to the plate, which there isn't. Take that needle out, which I said it was in wrong. Get a new one that's right. Make sure the flat of the needle is at the back. Tighten it up. Check left and right. It's good. Put that on there. Right, just see if I can find a spool pin. Let's bag the bits. And you've got a metal one here. Let's see if that one's any good. A little bit too small, that one. Plastic one. The plastic one will fit. That's a bit small as well. Always a drama. Yeah, a little bit too. I don't like it slopping around, but see if I can screw that one in. So that goes across, it's too big. Different screwdriver. That's good. Let's give it another 1/4 turn. That's good. So we now have a spool pin. Pop that on there. Still got the bottom to put on, but we'll give it a sew first in case I have to adjust anything. Thread the machine up. So on this machine it goes. Got a thread guide at the top. Let me just make sure you're seeing this. Yeah, thread guide at the top. Make sure the presser foot is up, which opens up these discs. I know I keep talking about it, but it's just one of the most important things on a machine, that. Lifting up the thread, the presser foot. And that goes back down. There's a guide on the side, guide above the needle bar, guide above the needle. Test my eyes today, see how they're doing. Not brilliant. That's it. That's threaded now. Bring it back round. Put the machine down and up, pull the bottom thread up, and we are ready to sew. Just going to pull down the tension here just to get it right by feel. About there, I think. Find some fabric. And now a bit of fabric. Okay, it doesn't do a lot of stitches, this machine, so don't need loads of fabric. First of all, the trusty straight stitch. A little bit longer. Check reverse. Yep. Okay, so that's a nice stitch top and bottom. That's good. Then we'll try a zigzag. Always make sure the needle's up before you change the pattern. Otherwise the needle bends because it stays in the fabric and tries to move across. Go wide zigzag. One's really nice. A little bit noisy on the bottom, but that's to be expected of a machine this age. Plus it's all metal, it's clunking around. The thread's going across the top of the bobbin, that's metal as well, so that makes a little tapping noise. So if we do a nice long, that's your longest stitch now. Check that's good. I'm thinking just a fraction less tension on the bottom. Now we do a very fine stitch. Let's tighten this side up a little bit. So we do a very fine short stitch. Quite fast, move to left and right, and that show you sewing a machine. So I'm happy with the tensions now. You've got a nice V for your zigzag on the front and the back of the fabric. Great little pattern there. Straight stitch is nice, individual stitches both sides. That's really good. So the tensions are set now. The next thing to do is put the numbers on the tension, which is these 3 parts. So what we do, we'll set it at number 5, which is halfway. Screw this up till it meets the plastic disc. Pop this one in, and then we have to tighten that up. So I need to find the screw, which is typically at the bottom. Just turn it around a fraction. Seems very loose. I don't know why this is so loose. I'm happy with that. Let me just see what's happening there. Just going to loosen this off again. Get this set on 5. So I haven't actually moved anything tension wise, but that's really loose and I don't know why. Okay, it could be. Nope, I thought that might be loose, so the stud's not loose. So what we do now, to stop that being so loose, is open up. You can open up, there's a groove down this stud. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open it up slightly at the end, just to make it wider, which means it fits tighter on this, so that won't wobble around so much. That's my plan. Get that back on. I'm going to have to sew with it again now because I've got rid of the tensions that I've had set, but that's fine. Just check it's a bit tighter, which it is now. It doesn't wobble around so much. Right. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to give it a little sew. Just run down one more time. Give it a zigzag. Straight stitch. Examine that stitch. Yep, that's the same top and bottom. Happy with that. Again. Oh. It's in my speed. I've got to put this bit on. Just try that again. Just once you've taken that off, you always have to check the tensions because you've sewn with it. You release the tension off. Yeah, that's all good. So now we set the number again to 5. Screw this up until it touches the disc. Find a bit of rot, which is always fun. Something rolls away down here. Found that. Again, find the screw, tighten it up. It's always in a different place. That's nice and tight. That's better. So now we can turn this. Goes up to 9, down to 0. Back to 5. It's not hobbling around anymore. Put my tools back up here. So I'm happy with the sewing. Just got to put the bottom back on. What we'll do now is flip that over. Little final blow. Yeah, certainly cleaner than when it came in. So, long time since I've seen that much fluff in a machine. I've seen worse, but not for a little while. But that's why they come in. Nip that up. So what we'll do now, we'll clean it up. Take my thread back. Find a sticker. Shows who serviced it and when it's due for another one. Serviced by SimPoint. Next service due November 2025. That'll soon come round. Actually on the last day of November 2024 today. Nearly Christmas. Nice to have a break. I'm pretty busy with these machines this year. Well, you're never going to get this back to pristine condition because it's very old. They do fade a little bit. Spool pins in there nicely. And that is it. That's one machine, Singer 348, all serviced, sewn in. Nothing major. Bit of fluff, very dry, so that's all lubricated. Put a new spool pin on, sorted the motor belt out because that was a little bit loose. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like if you did, please subscribe if you want to see some more. I'll try and make 1 or 2 a week if I can. Have a great day. See you next time.